Hi, it's Nanette, and I want to welcome you to day one of the Finding Your Creative Voice challenge. In this challenge, we'll be checking in with our hearts today. So, our first challenge topic is listen to your heart. So, what we'll be doing today is we'll be checking in with our emotional state, and we'll be drawing a little heart that reflects where we are in our journey. So whether it is whether you're feeling happy and inspired and in a good place, or whether your heart is broken and you're feeling sad or anxious, whatever it may be, the most important thing for this challenge is to give your heart a voice, to bring it alive in a drawing, and to check in with yourself. It's one of the most important things of finding your creative voice is to be truly authentic to who you are and where you are in your journey. So that's what we'll be doing today. It's going to be a fun little exercise and it's going to be very spontaneous. So what I want us to do is override our brain and our mind and check in with our hearts. Spontaneous art is supposed to be fun, and like I said, whether it's good or bad, the only way it'll feel good is if it's 100% authentic. So what we'll be using for this challenge depends on what you have available on hand. If you don't have any pewter or aluminium or copper sheets or whatever, even metal tape, please don't worry about it. That is not the point of this exercise. The materials really don't matter. You can do it on a piece of paper. What's important is that you really convey how you feel on the inside and bring it out. So part of the challenge is, if you have some metal available, is to use tools and instruments that you've never used before in your metal embossing. So I'm going to show you a couple of mine. I have got a salad fork. I've got a metal straw, knitting needles, a skewer stick. Oh, this is actually a chopstick. It's got a blunt end, a chopstick. I've actually got some knitting needles in various sizes. I've got a little skewer stick with a sharper point. You can use the back of a paintbrush, or you could use forks with different sizes and different amounts of teeth. So I want you to go and raid those kitchen drawers, see what you can find that's interesting, things that'll make beautiful marks in metal, things you might have never used before, but that'll really open up and expand the possibilities of what we'll be creating today. So I'll see you just on the other side, and I'll show you what I'm going to do for my heart today. Okay, so we'll be starting and we'll be using offcuts. I really don't want you guys to go and buy any expensive supplies or materials for this challenge. I really want you to use whatever you've got on hand. And as I've said before, it's really not the materials that matter. What matters is how you delve deeper into your authentic voice. So what we'll be using today, I've got my stash of offcuts over here. And these are literally just pieces from previous embossing projects that I've done. Let me just get these out of the way. So what I'll be using specifically are these ones. It's some larger ones. So I've already cut some cardboard. Now for this, you can use little MDF squares. You can just cut little cardboard pieces to size. You can even use cereal boxes and just cut them into smaller pieces. So the size of your cardboard will depend on the size of the scraps that you have available. Okay, so please, please, please don't go and buy anything. We're going to use what we have. It's part of the fun. And so what we can do with it is, once you've done your little design on there from your offcuts, stick it onto cardboard, fold them over nicely, and that way it'll just protect the embossing that you've done. So you can see these are all just little pieces that I've done from previous projects. Most of them are just, so these were done with stencils, and it was just a little part that was left over, so I just stuck it on there. And then later on, after the challenge, or you know, whatever, you can stick these onto notebooks or little cards or whatever. You can use them. So all is not in vain. The crucial thing about this is our playtime. I really want I really want us to be going back into the little 5-year-old selves, those playful selves, before we put all these perfectionistic streaks on ourselves and all the pressure on ourselves for our art to be absolutely amazing all the time. This is playtime, and this is just another one I've done the other day with a little piece, and I literally just sat and doodled. So this is basically what I want us to be focusing on today, is drawing intuitively. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to start with my little block. Sorry that I'm stretching over. So what you can do, and I mean, I'm not going to be bothered by the line because that's not the point of it. Really try and get out of your mind and into, into your heart for this challenge. So find a piece that's just big enough to cut around your little square so you can fold it over. So what I'm going to do is literally just draw around it, just so I've got the basic square shape. And then I'll be cutting it out. Okay, so I want you guys to see that I'm going to be leading, or I'm just actually going to leave that part. I'm going to be leading by example and really using offcuts. Okay, they don't need to be perfect in any way, shape or form. Okay, so get rid of all the dust particles because they have a way of transferring onto the metal. Okay, so the other thing is, if you've never done metal embossing before, please don't worry about it. If you're keen to learn more, we do have some courses available. And if you haven't, then please don't worry. I'll be explaining a little bit more about it as we go, but I'll also share, if you need some more information, please reach out and I'll share some free resources with you. Okay, so our goal for the day is to check in with our hearts. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and see, I'm so in the habit of using my tools. Our challenge is to use something different. So I'm going to pop all my little kitchen drawer finds over here. Okay, so the first thing you need to decide is, are you going to do everything just like a line drawing in engraving style on your metal, or do you want to raise some parts? Okay, so just for the sake of explaining to people who might not have done it before, I'll be using, let's see, I'll be using this one, my little knitting needle. And I want the line to be raised. So what I'll do is I'll work on a soft surface. So this is just one of those cleaning cloths. And the beauty about this is that you can fold them, you can layer them on top of each other in order to create more depth in your lines. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just going to draw a little heart shape. And again, you guys, this doesn't need to be perfect in any way. Okay, so there's my little heart. And in order to just flatten out my lines a little bit, sorry, I'm not very organized this morning. Okay. So what we'll do is, with your little paper pencil, if you have those available, just flatten the metal on the inside of your little heart and on the outside. And what that does is it just really beautifully defines your line. Okay. So I want it a little bit neater, so I'm just going to go over with my knitting needle. Okay, and now for the fun part. Now you're going to make this little heart your own. So really check in with your feelings. How are you feeling today? What are the things that have been going on in your life? Are you in a good place, in a bad place? And try and bring that through in your little heart. And with an added challenge of not using any standard traditional metal embossing tools. Okay, so let's go. I might not speak for a while, so you can just follow along and watch what I'm doing. And also, I really want to encourage you. So this is just a way of showing you what I'm doing. Please, please, please don't copy what I do. This you can use some of the techniques, but please make it your own. This is all about finding your own creative voice, and that's why we're here. The other part of this challenge I really want to encourage you with is don't let it take longer than about 15 minutes or so. We want to make it manageable, and I really don't want this to be overwhelming in any way for you. Okay, so I think I'm done with that part. Okay, so for the next bit, because I've got these lines going around it from my offcut, I just want to try and incorporate those into the little design. So what I'll be doing is just using it to make some patterns. Oops. So I really want to encourage you while you're working, just do whatever feels good. Make some marks on your metal that you might not have tried before. Just see what comes out naturally. The other reason I want us to be quick with these little projects is I really don't want any of us to overthink what we're doing. So the quicker you can do it, the more intuitive it'll be. And the more you'll be surprised probably about what comes out, which is all part of the fun. Okay, so there's my little heart, and I'm just going to roll it from the back just to flatten it a little bit. And we'll be sticking it, I'll be sticking it onto this little cardboard. And I'll be using some double-sided tape for that. If you're doing this on paper, in your little notebook or wherever you want to do this, that's also completely fine. An added step that you might consider doing with this is, after you've done your heart, page through some magazines and see if there's a word that resonates with you at this point where you're at in your journey, and just something that feels authentic and that connects with what you've done today. So it's sort of an added level of creativity. You can also write your word on the metal if you want. Just make it completely yours. That's the point, eh? Okay, so just make sure the metal tape sticks down nicely. And this is the fiddly part, eh? My goodness. Can you believe it? I might as well use one of my little sticks to get them off. This one's giving me a hard time. Okay, so once we've got that, super sticky, I'm going to lay my little cardboard down where I drew the original lines. So some of you have asked in the group as well how to neaten the corners. So this is a good opportunity to show you how to do that. Okay. So what I normally do is I just cut out the corners in line with my little board. So nothing fancy, no rectangles or triangles or whatever, just cut it in line. So you literally just cut the little corner out. Okay, and then what I do is I'll fold it over sort of halfway and then take a paper pencil, rub it nice and flat, and then using the angular point of your paper pencil, just use that to guide it over. So that way it's nice and flat and neat. So again, fold it over sort of halfway and then use your paper pencil to really flatten it out all the way. Okay, so there we go. This is our little heart. And then for the next step, we'll be using some Sharpies to add color. Because part of checking in with our heart and our emotions and where we're at the present moment is adding some color. And color is a beautiful way of communicating without words. So the next step of this challenge is for you to just intuitively choose some colors that you're drawn to today. Don't overthink it. Literally just grab the first one that jumps out at you and start coloring in. So Sharpies work very well on metal. So you can do it a couple of different ways. You can do the whole thing. You can just do parts of your design. Again, whatever comes naturally, feels good to you. That's what we're focusing on today. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do for today. Something we'll be doing, I'll be developing a new course all around finding your creative voice. And one of the things we'll be looking into on a deeper scale is the psychology of color and the meanings of color and all those kind of things. But it's interesting because I've mentioned quickly in the previous video about the color inspiration board is that suddenly I've been drawn to yellow, which has honestly, for as long as I can remember, has been my least favorite color. I didn't like yellow at all. And now all of a sudden it shows up everywhere. And what's interesting about the yellow is it's a color of hope and transformation. It brings energy and life, and it just makes things feel vibrant. So yeah, so let me know how you go. Share your pictures in the group, and we'll get into a bit of a chat around what we've done today, what it means to you, how it makes you feel. One of the things I've been learning is that spirals are a symbol of growth and transformation. And it's interesting now that I look at it that I've chosen green for my little spiral. The green didn't show up very well. I might pick a different green actually. The first one was a little bit dull. But it's interesting when you start creating intuitively and you go back to your work later on to try and figure out what is the message that that's on the inside that's trying to come out. It's very interesting once you start delving into the symbolism and the colors. So that's something we'll be addressing in the upcoming course. But for now, I hope you've created something that truly reflects you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Share your pictures in the group. I'll see you there, you guys.